So welcome. This is update 6.5 to my UX journey. I'm calling this 6.5 for a couple reasons. One is that I have not done an update in a while, so we're just tacking on an extra half. Two is I already shot and cut a version of this video, and I was so exhausted that after I watched it, I was like, no one's going to watch this video. I wouldn't want to watch this video, so I wouldn't subject you to that. So I've got a little more energy this morning. It's Friday. I've got the day off, which is awesome. Let's talk about the updates to my UX journey. So I have a job. It's not a UX job. It's a job in a local warehouse because I need money very badly. This job I always knew was going to be temporary. I found out shortly after starting they're going to close the facility in 17 months. So it's really temporary for everyone, so that's kind of interesting. Unfortunately, there's a lot of overtime involved. When I quit my previous job to study UX full time, I knew there was no way I could work 58-hour weeks and study UX. It just wasn't going to happen. So I had some money saved up. I borrowed some money. I kind of had a plan, but the plan didn't involve this all taking so long. So now I need more money. I went to another warehouse. They're working overtime. It's mandated. I can't do anything about it. I'm not working 58-hour weeks. I'm only working 48 hours. 48 hours is still a lot of time when you are trying to accomplish something outside of work. And yeah, it's just a lot of time. If I get those 8 hours back and just work 40, that would make a huge difference. The one thing I could do about it is I could find a different job. I don't want to do that. That's a hassle. That job still has to pay enough money without forcing the overtime. So it's all a balance. I probably won't do that unless it becomes absolutely necessary because I don't want to find another non-UX job. I want to find that UX role that I'm looking for. Moving on from the job. I'm currently involved in a 6-week UX job sprint. This is facilitated by Christopher Nguyen. You've maybe seen his stuff on LinkedIn or YouTube. He is the author. I don't know if he's the sole author. Owner of UX Playbook. You can find out more at uxplaybook.org. I previously had purchased, I forget which product it was. He had some sort of sale, and I said, sure, why not? Like, if this is the thing that gives me an edge, I'll take it. Anyways, I signed up for this course. There's definitely been some helpful stuff that I've gotten out of it. We just did week 4. I feel bad because I wasn't able to make Thursday's session. We meet twice a week for 2 hours, and I feel like maybe I didn't realize how challenging it was going to be or how challenging some of the workshop assignments were going to be. It's good that they're challenging because I need to be able to demonstrate that I can do this job. And it's important to always pick up new skills. The downside is like I maybe overestimated how much time I had available to commit to this emotionally and physically. But we're through week 4. I have a little bit of catching up to do. We've got 2 more weeks to go. I knew it was going to be tough. Like I knew that going in. And I thought, it's 6 weeks. You can kind of white knuckle it through 6 weeks. 6 weeks is a long time to white knuckle anything. But I'm learning some good stuff. I talked to Chris beforehand, and one of the reservations I had was once I got out of my boot camp, I had access to career services. I've attended other workshops, other places, on resumes, cover letters, whatever, the different job things. And I said, I'm worried that like whatever your content is that some of it would be redundant from things that I've already done. That hasn't really been the case. The workshops, even if they're on the same theme as other workshops I've done, they're much more in depth. The assignments, the exercises, the things that get you to the result to kind of help demonstrate what your abilities are, they have been more effective, I think, than other workshops I've taken. The maybe one point where that hasn't been true, and this is just for me personally, is there was half a session we spent, maybe even less than half a session, on LinkedIn and how to optimize your profile. I've already done some other LinkedIn workshops and kind of a deep dive on how LinkedIn works. So I didn't get a lot of extra stuff out of that one. But that was, like I said, half a session out of 12 sessions total. Is that right? Yeah, 12 sessions total. The version of this workshop, of this job sprint cohort that I'm in, there are 6 of us participating, with Chris being the facilitator. The 6 of us meet twice a week for 2 hours. There's also a video-only version of this, which I don't know the costs of these programs off the top of my head. You'll have to look at the website. I know he's got a pre-sale going for, I believe, a January release of the video job sprint course. So check that out if you're interested at uxplaybook.org. I can maybe try and answer some other questions. I would say reach out to Chris on LinkedIn if it's something you're interested in. I'd be surprised if there's 100 people who follow my videos and are all going to message him instantly. So assuming he doesn't get inundated with messages, I think he's pretty good about telling you what he's all about and everything. So that's that. Another thing I kind of want to address, and this is kind of a bummer, is that I'm on LinkedIn. I try to check in at least 5 minutes a day. It's usually more like 10 to 20, depending on what I do. A lot of times that's what I use my breaks at work for, because I don't have many other options for breaks. I feel like there's a lot of negative sentiment out there around design, about the industry, about the jobs in general, about how design is not being well regarded in the moment. And I'm seeing this from a lot of the top voices. So this is a little frustrating. Almost to the point where you see people like, I'm just not going to stick it out in this career any longer. It's like, I haven't even got started and people are talking about getting out. And so that's a drag. I would like to be a positive agent of change. I don't know how to do that. The only thing I can tell you is, for my part, is I still feel, I don't know if I've articulated this exactly in past videos, I still feel like design in general is the closest thing I've had to a calling. And it's a little painful to admit that, because it's something I've known for a long time, but the timing, life situations, whatever, like I've been stuck in warehouses. That's just how it is. And I can't do anything now to change the last 20 years. It's just important that I make my way there somehow. I pulled this book off my bookshelf. This is something I read. I don't know if I've read the whole thing. It's called The Secret of Success is Not a Secret. It's a bunch of different stories from a bunch of famous people, or about a bunch of famous people that you have heard of before. Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, Robin Williams. I believe Betty White's in here. I'm looking at these names and I don't remember all the stories. So it's not a narrative. It's just a collection of these different stories, sometimes around a theme. But I think I stopped reading it because it became pretty apparent the secret that's not a secret is simply perseverance. And that's, you just keep working at something. You try to get better. If it's not coming your way, you just keep going. And that's the only thing I can say that I'm going to do for myself. I hope others are also doing. I know it's easy to get discouraged, and I'm not still in this because of some sunk cost fallacy. I feel like this is a thing I'm supposed to be doing. So that's where I'm at now. And I hope that maybe encourages someone out there, because I need encouragement regularly. Another positive thing from my world, I opened up an online storefront recently to sell some of my screen printed art. I mentioned earlier I could use some extra money. I'm not working super hard at this hustle right now. I have a very small number of items in my store for sale. I felt like it didn't matter if I started small because this is something I've always wanted to do, and I've had other attempts in the past. So it doesn't matter that I'm starting somewhere, it's just important that you start, right? So that's what I've done. I think I have 5 or 6 things available for sale. If any of my art is interesting to you or you think your friends would be interested in it, I would be most appreciative if you shared that because my budget is only allowing for word of mouth and guerrilla marketing. I'm a little embarrassed to admit, I started a TikTok account to kind of explore what that scene is all about. I don't know if that's a place where I can market anything or not. I've always been kind of entrepreneurial, but I always feel sleazy trying to sell a thing, if that makes sense. We're wrapping up this year. It's almost an end to 2023. I have hosted, I think, just short of 20 events online this year. Most of those were UX job seeker huddles. Most recently, I concluded a UX happy hour. I was hoping I was going to do one more on LinkedIn. That would be not just for UX professionals, that would be for anyone hoping to leverage that platform a little more effectively with low effort strategies. Maybe I'll conjure up the time to do this before the end of the year, but it's not looking good. Following this past happy hour I hosted, I met some people. We're kind of collaborating on maybe a UX support event. But even with that, I'm starting to feel a little. I'm just every little thing I add to my plate these days gets me that much closer to burnout. So I'm very thankful that I had a floater vacation day I had to use today or I would lose it. So that's why I'm off. I'm filming this video. I'm going to catch up on some other UX stuff when I'm done with this. And other than that, I'm going to keep iterating on things. I have some changes I want to make to my portfolio. I know there's not a lot of hiring now because it's the last month of the year, so I'm not looking all that hard, to be honest. But I hope when January 1 comes around that I can hit the ground running, and that's where I'm at now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think.